Hey everyone, it is All-Star Ethan here, and I am back to do a gameplay breakdown of a clip that somebody else has sent into me here. So just to give you the little rundown of the situation, this you can see is in duos. Now we can't hear what Grammar Hattie and Am Nasty are saying to each other here, but I have been told that they are actually in chat with one another and they are people that play together relatively often. Another thing is that Grammar Hattie is getting used to Watson at the moment, has not played much in the past. And basically it's just trying to learn them. So you can see obviously they are playing duos as well, so they're not missing a third, they're just in a different game mode. And also you can see that Grammar Hattie is kill leader at the moment and that there is only 2 squads left. That means that there is this team watching as well as one other team. Now based upon that, let's have a watch and see what happens.
I'm in trouble. Just topping off my shield.
Okay, that's pretty decent getting behind the cover of the tree there, and they've obviously now figured out where that other squad was. Obviously, I didn't see the clip before this. I don't know if they already knew the squad was there. If so, maybe it would have been nice just to do a little dome push, just to make sure that nothing gets punished as they're running out in the open. But it seems to me that Watson made good use of the cover of the tree and quickly sprinted for it. So at least now they know where the enemy team are. She's going to pop her back before she goes out of cover again, which is obviously a pretty wise idea, just in case they land a good triple shade shot. And she's sprinting straight for the building, whilst I think the Gibby is putting down cover. So that's actually pretty good there. So although the team is split, and obviously I usually like to say, you know, stick as close to your teammates as possible, I think that's actually a wise move. I think the Gibraltar was putting down some cover fire whilst the Watson made it into the building so that she could go and anchor that building, obviously with her fences and such beforehand. Now, I actually used to play a little bit of Watson back in, I think it was Season 4 or Season 5 ranked. Back when she was pretty much the meta at that point. So I do know a little bit about it, but I've not played her in a while. But obviously my fence placement I've got a little bit of knowledge about, so I'll try and give some sort of input on that.
We're in the next ring.
Okay. Okay, so I actually noticed she deleted a node there on the doorway. So I'm just gonna skip back to this part. Now I actually know, just because of the message I was sent in the email on this, that I think that she's deleted that node for a reason on there. Call me she just because of Watson. Actually, I have no idea on the gender of Grammar Hattie, but we'll go by the character genders for this one.
News. We're in the next ring.
Have a habit of that, unfortunately. So yeah, watch that. They just delete this node. Now, I think that's because in the email I sent, Grammar Hattie said that they like to basically leave the last node until the last second so that they can pull it down when the team doesn't think there's a fence there. So I assume that that's what that is for. If it is, then fair enough, we'll see how that plays out. If it's not, then obviously that's a bad idea to leave that door uncovered. Now, there is one thing that I do notice though, which is looking at this doorway here and where they're about to place a node. If I think right, there's nowhere they can place this node from the other one that's actually going to properly block off this door. So okay, so it goes down here by the looks of things. So can you see on the left hand side of the screen there where that door is open? There is a lot of room for somebody to come in there. They can quite easily walk in. They've got still plenty of angles to shoot people that are hanging around inside that building. And also they've got even easier angles to actually just go ahead and shoot the node that is being placed down at the moment. Now I can see why this has happened, to use less nodes so that it's connected to the other one. However, it's more worth it for me to do a really short fence that's actually on that door to stop anybody being able to enter in whatsoever. If you are placing a fence down that's not actually on that border of the door, there's little point in it, basically. Any kind of experienced player is going to punish you for that kind of decision. Now, I'm actually also looking, I'm taking this time, the Gibraltar's still not healed up, so it looks like he's taken a couple of shots here. But we'll see whether he manages to get healed.
The circuit is complete.
Okay, so there we go. Okay, so the Watson's putting down the ult here, which is actually a good idea. I think it's because they want to get the fences kitted out, and I actually just noticed there. Just going to skip back a little bit. So you can see here on this doorway what I meant about them deleting the node on the right hand side. I actually think there might be a good reason for this. One of them is because that doorway in particular, you cannot place a fence right on the border, so they're going to be able to walk into that bit either way. So I actually think this might be a smart move to not put a node there and then maybe put a node there when they're actually on their way in instead, when they don't think there's a fence there. So that could work out pretty well.
No more storms. And fencing.
Okay, yeah, and again, that fence here, on this doorway.
Invincible.
There's not another one on the other side. So again, that node is a little pointless in a way. I mean, I guess it can stop them walking in too far through that door, but yeah, I don't see a great deal of point in that one. I think that's more of a visual effect. This I like. I like that this area up top is being fenced up, because this is an area that people will happily just jump down, and they won't really expect fences to be there. So I quite like that. Okay, the Gibraltar's being shot here, and just as he started getting shot, I did just quickly notice. So let's just go back. So that was the first one. Okay, before he actually gets shot. So look at this. So I mentioned earlier on, obviously, he'd had his shields broken. That must have been when he was on his way over to the building. Now, he's still not healed up the health. Not too sure what it is. I'm obviously looking at the Wattson. The Wattson has 5 shield batteries. I'm assuming if you're in a match and you've got 5 shield batteries, you've probably got some, like, white heals as well. So I'm not sure why the health has not been healed up at this point. And it looks like he's just on the roof poking. Oh, he's actually gone down. Okay. So, again, I had read that the Gibraltar goes down at some point, and I was interested to see why. Now, looking just at the shots here. Starts off obviously on full shields. Forgot to, or just maybe didn't bother to heal up that little bit of health. I just want to see what he's getting killed by. So, yeah, big chunk of health, big chunk of health. A little bit, and then... And he got killed by a triple take. No, I'm actually looking at that health-wise. I'm thinking if he had healed that little syringe bit, just to do that last bit of health, I think he gets away with that little bit of health at that point. Just on another note, now obviously this is nothing on Grandma Howie whatsoever. I'm judging teammates here on this one. A Gibraltar poking distance with his gun shield and his fortification should not be getting downed at any point. That is... I'm obviously not sure of the conversations that took place at that point, but if I was at the Wattson, I'd be a little upset on this one. Now, this team on the outside should really be punishing at this point. If I was the team on the outside, we've got a knock on the Gibraltar, who's actually, now that the Wattson has done her thing and set up all the fences, the Gibraltar is the priority target, isn't it? The Watson's done her thing. You can't do much about that anymore. I'd be targeting that Gibraltar. Once that Watson's on her own, I honestly would not be too afraid to push in on this. And I think this team should be punishing this immediately. Okay, so you can actually see, I think, why the team doesn't punish this. The Gibraltar did manage to do quite a bit of damage, so he's probably shouted that out on mic. Obviously we can't hear them, that he has done quite a bit of damage to them. That Caustic was instantly flash. You can see the Caustic through his ult. Now I'm actually interested whether this goes off or whether the Wattson ultimate has blocked it. You know what, I think it went off, but I think he just threw it on the roof. So that was a very, very bad Caustic ultimate. However, if he did throw it in the building, I've got to say absolute props to the Wattson, because the ultimate is up there already. Some people like to save it for the very end game. However, obviously, there's no point using it too late, if that makes sense. So a lot of people save it, and then they're putting it down when things are already coming in on top of them. And obviously, Caustic Gas, you don't have a chance to kind of put that down before that thing comes in on top of you. So I actually quite like using it nice and early. And also, she can carry Ultimate Accelerants. Ultimate Accelerants give you your ult straight back anyway. Like... You may as well put it down as early as possible, especially to get that extra speed and putting down the fences and defending that building. Now, the Watson's actually managing, by the looks of things, to pull off a revive here. I just want to say, on this one, obviously that team was a little far away. The Caustic needs to heal up still. So I quite like that. They've obviously got a little bit of time on there. Knows the Caustic's flash. Know he's thrown his ultimate in. It looks like they're not being hard push. I actually think if they were playing against any kind of better team, I think that they get punished for this. I really, really do. However, the punishment is purely for the Gibraltar getting down on this point. I think the building so far is set up fine. Now, the only problem as well with this revive is they've not waited to kind of close the door behind them and get it behind that door instead for that extra little bit of cover. That side of the building that they could come in from is still completely unguarded as well, so they could obviously just run in through that side and beam them at this point. I can kind of see why they didn't wait for that, because obviously it is a little bit of a rush. They kind of want to get this res off before the team pushes. And you can hear them running in now, trying to shoot through the window. Okay, so the team actually went through the wrong side there. So I think if that team came around the other side, I reckon again, that Gibraltar would probably be down again, just because they could have come straight through that door and peeked. Tried to shoot through the windows instead, obviously missed. Coming in through his door, so the Wattson sees it. Wattson down with Okay, so that was really nice. So this is what I was sent with a message with this was basically watching out for the end and the placement of that fence. So I am going to go back and obviously play that again. See, before then. Let's go. So here, they know now that they're going to come around through that door, so the Watson's prone and stuff. You see the Gibraltar down at the bottom popping that Phoenix kit off, so the Watson's basically alone now, just trying to fend them off. Now, any kind of character that you want to do that, probably Watson with the fences. In a building that you've already set up in. That's really good. So he sees them coming through the door, goes to block the door, then realises that she can get away. Pops that last node down when they don't expect it. Stuns both of them. And obviously decimates them whilst it's done. Ends up going down to the floor still. But at this point, that doesn't matter too much. When you've downed one of them and broken another, you've done your job, as far as I'm concerned, at all times. Now, ideally, you don't go down at that point. But it's a hard push at the end. One team versus one team. One of you is probably going to go down. As far as I'm concerned, the Watson more than did their job there. So, yeah, overall, like I say, it's been a while since I played Watson. I think, you got the win, which is always nice. I think there's some relatively good plays there. I think maybe being a little bit more careful. I think that in a pubs lobby like this, against this kind of opposition, the kind of things you did works, and you're going to get the win if you're doing those kind of things. However, I've got to say, I think that if you are facing somebody that is a little bit more skilled, a little bit more strategic, and a little bit more well coordinated, I think you lose that fight at multiple times. There's the time, perhaps when you're running across and you initially got the triple take on you when you're hiding behind that tree. I think then if the Corsic had his ult, he should have thrown it on you, and I think any good team would. I think whilst you're then isolated in the building, whilst the Gibraltar is kind of trying to fend off and give you a little bit of cover, I think any good team apes that Gibraltar whilst you're split. I really do. And then obviously when the Gibraltar goes down whilst peeking the rooftop, I think any team pushes that a little bit harder than they did. I think that they were a little bit hesitant, and I actually think that at that point, obviously the Corsic was low health. I think whilst the Corsic would have been popping off a Bat or a Phoenix, I think his teammates should have jumped down on you basically and used that as an opportunity, because they know you've got to go for that res, otherwise it's going to be a 2v1. So let one person go down and see whether they're reviving. Obviously if they're not reviving, then that's fine. You get to keep that person knocked, that's okay, and they can just kind of fend you off, stop you reviving, keep you panicked, whilst the other person then pops their med off and it's a 2v1. Then obviously if they do catch you reviving, it's an easy kill. So I think better teams, you would have been punished basically for a couple of little bits like that. But overall, pretty good play. The fence placement, like I said, is actually pretty good. Yeah, I can tell that you've been playing Watson a while. I actually really like that little trick at the end, and obviously you said at the start. I love how sometimes when people say things like that, oh yeah, I meant to do this really high IQ play, it's sometimes a bit, did you, or was it just happenstance? But this one, obviously, you could see them remove the node at the start of the, whilst they're setting up the building, so I fully believe that was a true strategic decision on that one. And I've got to say, it's something I never did as Watson. I used to like having my fences fully prepped up and then never having to worry about them. I quite like this kind of using Watson in the moment kind of play. And yeah, I dig that. I really do. Like I say again, I also really like putting the fences up on the top little platform of that building where they can jump in through the roof. I like that. So in fact, watch this makes me want to play Watson a little bit more and try out a few new things. So I really enjoyed that. Anyway, that is the end of this little breakdown. Just short one today. And I've actually been sent in like a bunch of clips, so I've got enough for basically one a day for the rest of the week. So please drop a sub if you want to see any more of those. And obviously, if you do want to send some in, leave a comment and I'll get hold of you. And you can do that, and I'll give my best kind of like little analysis on there. And also, I should be, granted, a little bit early in the morning, a little bit tired at the moment, so we see how much I get through it. But I should be putting together the plays of the week today as well, like the little highlights reel of my week. So have a little look out for that later on today. Hopefully done in the next 10 hours or so. But anyway, other than that, I've been All-Star Ethan, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.